Okay, no matter what type of the argument question you're trying to solve, the very basic concept of argument is we need to identify the conclusion first, right? Because why we need argument is because we want to convince people to believe something. That is the whole baseline of the argument, right? So that is something we want to convince people. We call it conclusion, right? So I cannot imagine that if you want to strengthen or weaken an argument by without knowing what is the conclusion is, right? So most of the common mistake students always make is after they read the text, they didn't clearly to identify what is the conclusion. They just feel like, oh, for example, like this question, they're gonna say, oh, this argument is talking about to say economy. They say the economy is not good, it's a waste of time. And they give us something to say, oh, it's not good. So they just want to us to weaken it. That is just like roughly you end this, you read through the argument, but you not quite understand the argument. So from my strategy is you need to find out the conclusion first and the premises second. But for this question, it's like quite long. It's like quite long. I don't know which one is the conclusion and which one is the premises, right? How can I know which one it is? So answer this question, you need to understand is conclusion, the function of a conclusion is trying to convince people to believe something. Okay, and the premises, the function of premises is supporting the conclusion, which is why I should believe you, the things that you told me, right? So if we know the conclusion should be something convincing and the premises should be something supporting, and then that is how we understand, how we take this lead to into the argument and to find out which one is the conclusion and which one is the premises. For example, for this question, right? So which sentences after you read like quite long, after you read it, you find that which sentences is arguer really want to convince us to believe. That sentence take them out. Do they want to convince us to believe teaching economy at a school is a waste of time? Or do they want to convince us to believe that the student can learn what is taught in that subject of simply watching the news every day and listening to the parents? Or do they convince us to believe since economy is always changing? After we read all of that, we'll find apparently the first sentences is the conclusion, right? They want to convince us to believe that teaching economy at school is a waste of time. Yeah, that's what arguer want to convince us to believe. Teaching economy is waste of time. Why? And then we keep looking for the premises. If you can identify the correct conclusion, then all the premises is going to be very easy to fall into their position. Of course, we can say yes. Firstly, student can learn economy from their daily, right? That's the P1. And also P2 is since the economy is always changing, so it's very impractical for students to study something in school because it's changed, right? If you learn something after you graduate, the economy will be totally different. So the arguer gives us the two very convincing premises to supporting the conclusion teaching economy is a waste of time. Why? Because firstly, it's not necessary. Student can learn from something somewhere else. Secondly, even you want to teach, it's always change, which means there's no point to learn now because later on, the the economy will be totally different. Yeah, that looks like a very good example, good argument. But when we're talking about a weaken, we want to weaken what Mr. Donald said. Remember, no matter weaken or supporting or strengthen, we are all focusing the impact on the conclusion. Okay, strengthen is make the conclusion more convincible, and weakening is make the conclusion less convincible. Everything here, no matter it's strengthen or it's weakening, is all focused on impact on conclusion. So here, by weakening, what we want to convince people to believe is teaching economy might not be waste of time at school, right? Teaching economy at a school is might not waste of the time. Be careful. I'm using to say might not wasting of time. I didn't say teaching economy at a school is not a waste of time because you basically want to weaken it. By weakening it, we only need to open another possibility to say, oh, this conclusion in some situation is might not that convincible. That's enough. You don't need to actually prove this conclusion is wrong. That's we claim too much. That's not called weakening. That's called you. I prove you wrong, isn't it? So weakening is basically just say open another possibility by say teaching economy at a school might not be always a waste of time. Sometimes it might be very important. Yeah, that's something we want to pushing this conclusion to, right? So after the look at each option, which one you gonna choose? Firstly, I'm gonna ask you which one you gonna choose, right? You can give me the answer O, A, B, C, D, whatever it is. And then I'm telling you, yes, I think most of the people, most of the students, when they do the argument question, they just simply circle a option. Done. Even they got it wrong, they say, oh, they have a look again. They say, oh, I know it's wrong, so I choose another one. So that is not how you improve your strategy and the knowledge for argument question. So for each of the question, when you're doing the test, you might just quickly choose the one or, but don't forget, I told you, argument is always about evaluate the information and compare it. Okay, so you can't just choose A just because you finish reading A, you say, okay, A is weakening, so I choose A. We cannot sure if A is the best one. So we have to read through all the option and compare the option and choose the best one that is supporting or weakening the argument. For example, look at this option. A, people do not know anything about the economy is not suitable for most higher paying job. Okay, so if this is true, this is definitely to say we should learn economy, right? So basically, this is weaken. We should learn economy. Economy is good. Economy gives us the high-paying job. Why should we say teaching economy is waste of time, right? So A is challenging this conclusion by letting us say, oh, teaching economy might not that bad because it can bring people the high pay jobs. So it's weaker, right? B, teacher always underestimate how much complex the economy is to the new student and often confuse the student. Okay, so if B is true, some members say, oh, Rex, since it's B is true, it is strengthened. Because you say, oh, it's always a confused student, and that means the teaching economy is a waste of time. So here is a common errors that we understand the premises. So B actually, instead of as strengthen, I will more likely to say is irrelevant because something we should do or we should not do never depends on how hard it is. So if you think B is strengthen, it's more like to say, oh, it's because economy is hard, so we should not do it because it's a waste of time. So if this reasoning you think is working, then you're gonna be getting your life very relaxing because you can say anything you don't want to do, you say, oh, because it's too hard, it's confused me, so I shouldn't do it. Yeah, so definitely it's not make sense then, right? So that's why even B is true, I don't think B gonna be strengthened argument or weakened argument. See, the basic concept of economy remain same through the lifetime, but very difficult to understand without a teacher. Okay, so this is also very clearly weakening, right? They're telling us even the economy is always change, but the principle is not change. And also, without a teacher, it's going to be very hard to people to learn. Yeah, so it's weakening. It's telling us the teaching economy is definitely not a waste of time, right? Look at the D. Economy is one of the most popular subjects chosen by senior high school students in Sydney. So this one, I would like to say, is irrelevant. Yeah, even some people, even most of the students in Sydney, they choose economy. It's kind of strengthened to say economy is good, but very weak strengthen. Yeah, because it's just a student in Sydney choose economy. It might be because they have that tradition, or maybe uh, Australian student is more interested in economy area, that could be any other specific reasons. So we can't say economy good or not. It just depends on the student's performance in Sydney, right? Their choice in Sydney. So, but some still argue with me say D is a little bit strengthened because anyway you got more student choose economy. That kind of the say teaching economy is not always is the um is not a waste of the time. So you can say that, but I think the link is going to be very, very weak because this example we're taking is very specific. It's only the student seat. Okay, now we come into the best part or important part of this question, which is between A and C. Which one I'm going to choose? Which one is the best weakening? Right? Sometimes the teachers always tell students say you're gonna be choose the best one, but without telling them how do I know which one is the best one? A and C in different point of view, when people look at it different, they might have the different importance, right? If I'm really care about my future career, my job, I think A is definitely more important, more convinced to me because it's telling me I had a higher paid job, right? If I was more like learn about the teaching, yeah, if I'm the teacher or if I'm the educator, if I'm the principal, then I'll be more convincing by C to influence people, influence the student from their whole life point of view, right? So which one is more specifically important or better for this question? First, I have let you know is it's very common during the argument question. You stuck with two options, which is using these two options is both working. I don't know which one is it is, but it's both working, and it's very common scenario. So don't be panic. And then secondly, under this scenario situation, you always need to remember go back to the conclusion. Okay, go back to the conclusion. Which one is better? It depends on which one is more supporting the conclusion. Because don't remember, when you strengthen or weaken the argument, actually you want to have an impact on the conclusion. So conclusion is always important. Let's go back to this conclusion. They said teaching economy at a school is a waste of time. That's what the conclusion is. So A and C, which one is more have the impact on saying teaching economy at a school is a waste of time? After we compare with this, I think everybody will agree yes, C will be standing out, right? Because C is more addressing the economy's importance, not because the benefits they're going to take into you, is more focusing on how hard people cannot use learning it without a proper teacher. So that is more weakening by saying, oh, teaching economy at a school is a waste of time. It's not. It must be taught. Otherwise, people are going to be very hard to learn by themselves, right? So this is very strongly to weaken this conclusion by us less convinced, oh, teaching economy is waste time. It's not. Actually, it should be make it compulsory, right? So that's why this question, the correct answer is C. Okay, so that is how we solving this question. Now, let's look at another questions. So this question, same if you want to, if you can practice what I just told you, because firstly, I just want you to know is when you look at the mistake, actually, when you want to identify the mistake, actually the mistake is weakening the argument, right? Actually, this just want to ask us which one is weakening. So for this question, which one is the conclusion? Which one is the premises? Just to follow what I told you for the previous question, you will find the conclusion is the extended week hour has attracted more visitors, right? Why? Because when they extend the weekly hour, it's an increase of the numbers of the people who visiting. That's a premises, right? The number of the people in visit the library on the weekend is increased. So That means the extended week hour has been attracting more visitors. Yeah, so it's weakening. Now, when we want to weakening the conclusion, what we want to convince people to believe is the extended hour might not attracting more visitors. Yeah, the extended hours might not be the reason why the increased number of the people who visiting a library. Right? So let's look at option A, B, C, D to see um, which one it is. A, the library might also represent expanded their collection of popular new book. Yes, so this one is weakened, right? This one telling us, right, people coming it's not only because they extend the hours, it's because they like the new books. Good. That is a very good awakening, right? We call it W2 in our classes where the analysis is. This is W2. This offers us another counter explanation by telling us why the people is increased. Very good one. And but we learn from the previous question, we won't be immediately choose A, we keep it, and we go to B. More visitor has been attending weekend events at the library within the 10 hours. So that's actually is strengthened, right? That's convince us to believe the student, the more people, the more visitors they coming, this just be attending the weekly events within the extended hours. That telling us the extended hours is the reason to cause the people coming more, to cause the more visitors. So B convince us more believe this conclusion is true. So it's strengthened. It should be the first one we eliminated. Second one, library staff report the increased number of the library card issued in the same period. So I will kind of just say this is irrelevant because not all the visitor will issue the cards. So no matter the issue of the cards, the number of issued cards will be more or less. No directly impact on how many visitors coming to the library, isn't it? Right? Then look at the D. The local school start promoting reader program leads more students coming to a library in extended weekend. Okay, actually, D is also awakening. They offer us another counter explanation. A telling us it might be because of the new book. D telling us is because of the new promoting the new reading program. Basically, A and D, they all telling us the same principle behind this argument is either it's because of a new book or it could be because of reading program, right? And then since seems like AD is quite similar with awakening. And by the way, in the selective test, I don't think you're gonna be facing the two options like this close. But during our exercises, I just want you to how do you know to practice to evaluate how to accurately evaluate the weight of each premises. So that's why I just intentionally design the question just a little bit hard. All right. So for this question, A and D, which one then? If you are the good learner, you are already know that I should go back to the conclusion, just like I described in the previous question, right? We go back to the conclusion, we see which option is more close to our conclusion, right? After you see this one, we'll probably will be vote for D. Yeah, why? Because D telling us the program is happening during the extended weekend. Yeah, that's more specifically pointing to the extended weekend. That is the reason. That is the conclusion. They just want to convince us to believe the extended week hours attract more visitors. For A, even it's strengthened, even it's weakening, but actually it's not very specific, pointing to the extended weekends. Since the student have the library have the new books, it should be attract the visitors by all the time, isn't it? Why? How can you show it's only for the extended weekend? Yeah, it should be increased for all the time. It's not necessarily means the extended week hours is the course for more visitors, right? That is why D is more better than A to support this conclusion. So these two questions are very, very a good question to testing us or to review the very two important key factors I need you to understand about argument. Firstly, identify the conclusion and the premises. Secondly, compare options. Okay, compare each options and choose the best one. Which one is the best? The one who most closest to the conclusion. Okay. Okay, look at the last question. This is also the question. The question I chose here is all the question that some student ask me, yeah, from the holiday program or from our regular classes. The student ask me some questions. I chose that. I just briefing here. So hopefully I can help more students here, right? So this question, I'll leave the job to you. Which is the conclusion and which one is the premises? You can pause me here and you can do that first. So after read, we can find what the principal said is the conclusion, right? Since our team A win the game, so our school is the best in math, right? So that's the premises. Why? Because our team win. Yeah. The school has three teams participating, and our team A win the competition. So our school is the best in the math. Okay, that is what simply the principal is doing his argument. He thinks since our team, one of our team win, so our team is the best in the math, right? So since it's a mistake, it's also weakening, right? Weakening the conclusion by saying, oh, our team might not be the best. Our team is the best. This conclusion may be not that convincible, isn't it? So then when we having of these four options, look at A, the competition only had three participating schools. Okay, they have only three schools there. All right, so it's kind of the weakening, isn't it? Because it's only three schools. So it's not means all the schools there, right? So we just think, oh, that's why we cannot say your school is the best. Okay, we can, right? Another school might have the different strengths in subject of science or literature, but this one is one weakening or one strengthening. Even other school is good at other subjects. It's not a weakening to say our school is the best. It's kind of even strengthened to say our school is the best in math, right? Because the principal didn't say we are best in all subjects. It just say are we in math. So B, I would like to say, is irrelevant. Okay, look at the C. Team A had a student who received additional math tutoring out of school. So somebody might say C is also weakening. I agree, because C telling us that the student, they learn the math out of the school. They might learn the math out of the school, right? So that means your school might not be the best in the math. Okay, look at the D. The competition did not include all the schools in the district. Okay, of course, this is also weakening. We start again. ACD, they all weakening. Which one I should choose? Which one is the best one? Can weakening this conclusion? Firstly, you're gonna have to go back to conclusion again, right? So since they're talking about the best, so that means the principal not only to saying our school the math is good, he want to say our school is better than any other school. That's why I am the best. We are the best. We are better than any other school, right? So which means from this point of view, A, C, and D, the first one we should eliminating is D, right? D actually is not directly weakening to say our school is not the best. Even the student learn the math out of school, maybe they still get the very good education about math in the school as well. That's why it's not directly weakening the principle to claim that our school is the best in the math, right? That's the first one. Now we left with A and D. Which one is more strict or more clearly to say, oh, you might not be the best? The correct answer should be D, right? Why? Because when A says only three participating schools, actually we don't know how many schools still out of this participation. We don't know. They never say. They say it's only three school. Maybe in that strict district is only three school. So this principal still can claim we are the best, right? How many schools do not participating? We're not sure. At least A didn't say that. But D is more clear to say. It didn't include all the school in the district. So D is directly weakening this claim that the best. Okay, so if D say there's not all the school included, that means the principal has very weak to claim we are the best. As long as no school enjoying and participating, you cannot say you are the best because there are still some school they are not coming, right? So compare with A and D for this question, for this conclusion, I would more like to say D is the best. Okay, so through these three questions analysis, I just want you guys to remember the two very key points I ask you to remember. Identify the conclusion and the premises first. That's point one. Point two, evaluate the different options. Choose the best one. Which one is the best? The most close to the conclusion is the best. Okay, that's the 2 points I want you to remember about argumental questions. Okay, now I will give you a quiz question. I'm showing it here. This question is very interesting. It's a multiple choice. You can choose more than one option. But this question is seems like we want to challenging a very solid argument. Two cities, one city die 800 people, one city die 3,200 traffic-related people. But we want to weakening to say the city with 800 deaths is might be even serious danger than the people who die in 3,200. This looks like very plausible, right? But it is. That's testing us. How do we look at the questions from different point of view? Okay, I'll keep this question here. And yeah, before we finish the week one, I just let you guys to understand, yes, it's very hard time right now when all the students who prepare the selective, we are reaching to the final stage, right? It's like the long marathon. When you're reaching to the final stage, it's really very exhausting. It's very tired, right? And I just want all the students to understand is we need more extra focus and efforts on it. So, right? So, because for me, I always believe that what I know, I will not worry about my results because my results is belongs to my God. And the only thing I need to do is follow my heart, follow what's the guide of the God, then work it hard, do everything I can. And then I think you will deserve for a very fair outcome. Okay, guys, then let's just stop here today.